Hello and welcome to another episode of Wheel of Horror, the podcast where two best friends spin a wheel once a week. It chooses the horror film and they discuss it. Today we're talking about 2006's Black Christmas or Black Xmas, which was directed by Glen Morgan. I'm your co-host Alec.
Erik, and with us again is the great Joe Testa. Joe, welcome back to the show.
Thank you, guys. I had no idea that this is also known as Black Xmas. I'm learning things already.
That's what it says on the poster and on Wikipedia.
Oh, that's true. Yeah. No, now that you mention it, my DVD that I watched, it does say Black Xmas, but I never realized that.
I think it was like of the time, like, extreme,
Extreme.
No. But people get hot and bothered if you text them Xmas. It's like, no, it's Christmas. Like, please don't write X. Like, that is a thing. I know that for a fact.
If anything, this movie is very of its time, and the extreme horror of the time, it certainly applies to this movie.
Yeah, this is definitely like, hey, what was a popular movie in the 70s or 80s? And let's remake it and let's crank up the gore and kind of take the story away from it and dilute it. I don't know. I mean, Joe, I know you've seen the 74 version, right?
Yes.
Okay, and Erik, you have not?
Wait, this is a 74 version, right?
No, I'm asking you, have you seen the 74 version?
Wait, we're doing the 74 right now, right?
No, we're not, Erik. You're kidding, right?
I'm not kidding, but I'm here for the ride.
Dude, I texted like 4 times, like 2006.
Well, let's keep it going. Let's keep it going.
Oh my God, Erik, you're kidding.
Matt Banner did this once. I can do this once.
Oh my God, Erik.
Wait, so which one are you talking about? 2006 or the 2019 one?
No, the 2006 one, man.
I didn't watch it.
Oh,
Wow. Well, let me take a back seat at least. Let me take a back seat
Okay, all right.
at this point.
Well, Joe.
Wow.
Okay, well, Erik, you can chime in. Maybe
I'll chime in with the 1976 version,
74.
74, which is also, can I just tell you guys, that's 50 years today that it came out.
Really?
Today or tomorrow, it came out 50 years ago. Yeah.
Okay, all right. Well, I guess I don't know when this one came out, but
I guess that's why I thought that was the one. I fucked up, I guess. I'm sorry, guys. But I'm
okay.
here. I mean, damn it, I just watched that. I love the original. Holy shit. Let's not even go there, but
Yeah, we covered the original a couple years ago with Corinne, but
okay. I'm here. I'm here to hang back. All right. Keep going, guys.
Is this a first time watch for you, Alec?
it is, and likely will be a last. Not gonna lie. Not gonna lie. Did you see this one in theaters?
I didn't.
Okay.
I caught up with it when it came out on video. It was still the video store days back then. And I wasn't in much of a rush to see it. I feel like I wasn't in much of a rush to see a lot of horror movies like this at the time.
Yeah.
We've kind of covered a lot of horror movies from this time. Not my favorite era, although I do feel like as we move further and further away from it, there is some charm.
Yeah.
And I honestly, I think there's some charm to this movie. I've always thought so. It's why I agreed to be on this episode, even though, yeah, this movie isn't very beloved, and I could totally understand why. But believe it or not, I don't think I had seen the original Black Christmas when I saw this movie in whatever it was, 2007. So I think it helped maybe to go into this movie without any expectations, without any preciousness about the original.
Yeah, I don't remember the original too well, but I remember liking it a lot more.
Well, clearly I do because I just watched it.
Well, we'll ask you a couple things, Erik.
Yeah, bring me in, guys.
But I think the main thing that really stands out in this one that's different from the original is the intense backstory of Billy Lentz or whatever. Like if I remember correctly, and Erik, you can correct us. They don't really explain who he is, right?
Nothing. He's known as the moaner, where he just like calls you on the phone and is just like,
Okay.
I like does stuff.
So in this one, Erik, half the movie is giving in-depth detail year by year of what this guy's been doing. So we know way too much about this guy. And I don't know. So like Joe, you seeing it though for the first time, I guess it wouldn't bother you at all because you wouldn't have known, right?
I mean, it just horror movies at this time, they just could not help themselves. You know, it's like the whole incest subplot, and then
Oh God.
he's also a cannibal for some reason.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just so so of its time, you know. And it's probably honestly my least favorite thing about this movie. Like Eric said, like in the original, there's so much mystery surrounding Billy,
Yeah.
you know,
Yep.
and there's just all of that is thrown out for this movie, and we learn too much about Billy and his sister Agnes.
Oh my God. Yeah.
But I will say, if I'm gonna compliment this movie, and it's what has kept me returning a couple of times to this movie over the years, is I do think it has some visual style. It
Yeah.
has some great, Christmas horror movie ambiance. It's almost like like an Italian horror movie, like I don't want to, I don't want to praise too much. I don't want to praise this movie too much and compare it to like a Dario Argento movie, but I
Oh my
do
God.
feel like that is kind of the inspiration. And to tell you the truth, I don't know if you guys have scrolled too deeply into some of your streamers, but there is just this glut of like low budget Christmas horror movies out there that are just, so low budget. Like low budget isn't even the word, you know?
Yeah.
So at the very least, this movie is very professionally made, I'll say.
Yeah, it has, I mean, at least has a studio backing it, and it's got recognizable cast.
Mhm.
And apparently Glen Morgan, the director, writer and director, he was a huge fan of the original one. So at least it was like a little bit connected with that. But to me, this reminds me, I think Eric, here's a little comparison for you. It reminds me of House of Wax, the remake, a little bit with Paris Hilton.
Okay. Okay.
100%. I agree.
It's just like it's not great. It's got a couple moments, but it's super gory and it is obsessed with eyeballs.
Mhm.
This movie, like half the kills are just people's eyeballs getting torn out, put onto Christmas trees, like as ornaments. And that's the other thing, Eric. Tell us this. In the 74 version, not very gory, right? Eric? All right, we lost him, I think. Okay, we'll come back to him. But yeah, no, this one, yeah, very of the times, very gory, very focused on like yeah, extreme eyeball gore. But I think the thing that really it doesn't bother me necessarily, but it's just like unnecessary is yeah, the incest thing. Like they just add that into this, and I don't really think we needed two killers, but that's the reason we get two killers. But yeah, I'm getting ahead of myself. We'll start with the beginning. It basically takes place, it starts off in a mental asylum and there's a guy visiting, Santa Claus is visiting, and he's going door to door, and he recognizes Billy Lutz or whatever, Lentz, whatever his name is. And he's in this room, he's in one of the holding cells, and then he knows about this guy. So he's like, that's the guy that killed like his mom and all this stuff. So everybody knows about this. And we find out that the sorority house this all takes place in was Billy's house, where he killed his mother and stepfather, and his sister was there, his sister daughter, and then they locked him away, and they locked his sister away too, and then he escapes basically, and that's kind of where the movie starts.
Right.
Big difference from this one to the other one is yeah, we know a lot about Billy, and there's also a second killer.
So is it basically he's upset about his house becoming a sorority house? Is that what it is, kind of?
Kind of. I mean, I don't. What is his motivation other than like I'm coming home for Christmas, and he's pissed off about his family, but he already killed them. So yeah, Joe, what the hell is the motivation?
And I think that's it, right?
I think it's as simple as that. I don't think we get too much into his mania other than, he just wants to kill people.
Okay. Yeah, my here we're jumping ahead a little bit, but huge gripe that I have is Agnes, his sister slash daughter. She's been in this house for a while because they say like she was locked away, but then she got released. And then we're assuming from that point forward, she went to the sorority house, lived in the attic, and then started killing them on Christmas. Why the fuck didn't Agnes sneak in as Santa Claus and break Billy out? Why did Billy have to sneak himself out dressed as Santa Claus, kill people in the mental asylum to get out? Like, am I
Mm.
crazy or wouldn't that have made more sense to have this
Yeah.
like this big planned thing on this Christmas specifically to get their house back?
Yeah, that's a good point. Something that I was bumping up against is Agnes has nothing against Billy because he did mutilate her and pull out one of her eyes when she was a kid and ate
Right.
it.
Right.
So I guess they buried the hatchet at some point and became partners.
Yeah, there's no connection. As far as we know, they don't know that they're both going to bump into each other this night, as far as we know. So
Oh, yeah, I didn't even think of that.
I don't think so, at least.
Yeah.
But here's the one thing, Eric, that I wish you did watch this version. This is stacked with like recognizable 2000s actresses. Like it's got Eliza Thornberry slash Harriet the Spy. I can't remember her name.
It's Michelle Trachtenberg.
Yeah, you know her, Eric, right?
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Yeah, and then it's got the girl from Mean Girls, the Fetch. Like we're not gonna make Fetch a thing. She was also Meg Griffin, the original Meg Griffin. She's in it. She's got the
Okay.
blonde chick from Nightmare on Elm Street, the remake.
Katie Cassidy.
Yeah, yeah.
These are some of my all-time favorites. So I
Oh,
can
Right. Yeah.
no,
Yeah.
no,
Absolutely.
Katie Cassidy and Mary Elizabeth Winstead.
yep,
So
yep,
the
yep.
casting director knew what they were doing.
Yeah.
Period. Is what you're saying. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's just a who's who of like it girls from the 2000s.
Yeah, they're kind of all disposable for the most part. I mean, Margot Kidder was such a standout in the original, and same with Olivia Hussey. And I don't feel like we really had a standout in this, other than they were just like they're really hot.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, I think they're adequate. I think we've definitely seen worse casts in horror movies.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think they get the job done. That's about it.
Yeah. But Eric, I wanted to ask you earlier, the original one is not very gory, right?
No, not gory, but very like the killer is just there. He used plastic bags more and other things other than a knife and stuff for the most part.
Oh, they use plastic bags in this a lot.
Mhm.
A lot of plastic bags.
It should be said something that the original Black Christmas is famous for is that it predates Halloween and the
Right.
whole slasher trend. And yeah, it is very much still kind of a 70s thriller. I do wish this movie maybe had a little more in common with that, was more of a thriller and less of a kind of outrageous slasher movie. But like I said, it's very much a product of its time.
I hear what you're saying, Joe, and that the original is technically the first slasher ever. Am I wrong by saying that?
I mean, you could definitely make that argument for sure.
Which is wild. Which is wild. Like, and it launched before Halloween, before everything.
Hmm.
Like this Black Christmas, the original. So it's kind of cool to see a sequel do what it's doing.
This isn't a sequel, though.
Yeah, I mean a remake. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
yeah.
Remake. Yeah.
You could almost make an argument that this remake has a lot in common with the Halloween remake in the sense that so much time is given to the exploration of the killer's backstory, you know.
Yeah. No, that's really true. And I mean, I guess it adds a little bit of context for this killer, but I think the thing is like Michael Myers had been around for so many decades at that point that people are like, well, I wouldn't mind knowing about this guy. By Christmas, like we haven't seen this guy since 74 and we didn't know anything about him. He didn't wear a
He's
mask.
Billy. He's Billy. That's
He's
all
Billy.
we
And
know.
Eric, I remember in the first one they mention Agnes on the phone, but
Mhm.
this one gives that an entire character,
Wow.
and it's his incest love sister baby.
His daughter sister.
Yeah, daughter sister, daughter sister.
Aren't you dying to watch this movie, Eric?
Not really. I mean, I'm happy I saw the original more than this
Yeah.
already.
Oh, absolutely. But you're right though, Joe. Like the original was more of like a thriller, and this one they tried to add a couple like whodunit red herrings, like that one girl who's like weird or whatever who gives the gift, or she's like Eve, I think was her name.
Right.
And they're like, oh, I bet that's Agnes. Like they try to, make it think like it's that. And then also the boyfriend.
Yes. Yes. And I was thinking to myself, like, why even bother with all these red herrings? Because it just turns out to be exactly who you thought it was.
Yeah. It would be weird if there was somebody else killing too, like if it was Kyle or something.
Although I guess Agnes is kind of a twist that he has a partner. I guess it's kind of a twist.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was thinking that yeah, I mean, all these red herrings just go nowhere.
Yeah, it's I don't know. It's there's just I think the original one, even though it was a horror movie, it also had that like abortion
Yeah,
subplot, which was
yeah.
really interesting. And I think the equivalent of that in this one was the like porno, the like that she filmed with her
Oh, yeah,
girlfriend.
yeah, yeah.
Like that was supposed to be this weird subplot.
The human drama. Yeah.
Right, Eric. So like as far as I like was a little confused, but the lead blonde girl has this boyfriend Kyle, and he's like, I love you, like I'm your family now. It's Christmas, like whatever. And then I think that was his ex-girlfriend and him on tape, right? Having sex?
It's a sorority sister of his girlfriend.
Okay, so yeah, so like Kyle, this guy, and some other girl are having sex and filming it, and then this girl, the blonde girl lead, goes in and finds it, and they just get in an argument about it out of nowhere. They're like, Kyle, get the fuck out of here, and they like kick him out of the house for finding this porno tape. It was really weird. It kind of came out of left field, and also like it wasn't like Billy set it up; they just found it. They're like, what the fuck is this? Like, it was kind of funny.
I gotta say, I couldn't help but notice the Dimension Films logo before this movie, and
Yeah.
that logo will always have a special place in my heart, because of the movies I grew up with.
All right.
But I was thinking, the killer Billy, he has yellow skin.
Yeah.
And it really reminds me of Sin City, which
Yep.
Dimension also did. And we were talking about Rob Zombie. I remember Rob Zombie giving an interview, maybe on Howard Stern, where he talks about developing a sequel to The Crow that never happened with the Weinsteins. And he said, no matter what was the number one movie that weekend, they would call him and say, you got to do something like this with The Crow. Like if it was Starship Troopers, like we need giant bugs in the movie,
All right.
And I was thinking, like, when Sin City was a hit for them, they probably called up the director of this movie and was like, we need a guy with yellow skin in this movie.
Yeah, what? Like what weird just connections they need to bring things over from other movies.
I could see that. I could see that, Joe.
And then another thing, I couldn't help but think of Scream 4 during the ending of this movie because it has this kind of extended finale in the
Oh yeah.
hospital.
Yep.
And I remember with Scream 4, like that whole ending in the hospital was reshoots. Like Kevin Williamson had left the project by then. And I wonder if they just went to Wes Craven and was like, we need a new ending for this movie. Watch our Black Christmas remake.
Dude, this movie could have ended with them just running out of the house and that we'll get to the hospital scene at the end, but that was like the worst scene ever, dude. That was horrible. But let's just fill in the last little gaps of kind of
Sure.
the plot and stuff because I mean everybody's just gets picked off one by one, but there is one character that comes in. She's like one of the people's sisters who's like 45 and she's like, "Where's my sister?" And they try to make it seem like they're having problems or whatever, but she's like one of the final girls and she makes it
Yeah.
all the way to the end. But why the I just like why introduce her? Like there was already enough people that were just getting picked off one by one. Why another?
hmm Yeah, I can't answer that.
What else though? What else in this movie? I mean, it does look good. You're right, Joe. It definitely has like, production value in making it feel like Christmas. Yeah, okay, here's another thing. So, Eric, as Joe was saying, this killer, he looks like bright orange because he has jaundice. He was born with jaundice. So he kind of looks like the Toad from the X-Men movie. That's kind of what I was thinking the whole time. But the mom says, or at least in the flashback, they're just like the mother hated the son because it reminded him of the father, and she hated the father too. So why did she then rape her son to have a daughter? Because she hated her son, you know?
Are you asking me?
No,
I'm
no, no,
asking.
no. I'm asking Joe.
I wouldn't be surprised if this movie started out as one thing and became something very different, especially knowing who was behind it. I'll say this. I watched an interview with the director on the DVD, and these are the kind of interviews that I really miss from physical media because it was very
Yeah.
candid. And I really actually felt bad for him because he actually directed the movie Willard, which was a Crispin Glover.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah.
the mice.
Yeah, yeah. And I actually saw that in theaters and thought it was pretty good, but it bombed. And in the interview on the DVD, he talked about, how he went into a deep depression thinking he was never going to direct another movie again. And he never did after Black Christmas. So it was
Oh
kind of a
no.
sad interview. But, he talked about, what he wanted to do with this movie, and it really kind of sounded like he was talking about a different movie. So I can't imagine that this was exactly what he had in mind, but I don't know. That's just my impression. So there's that. Who knows what kind of, production hell this movie went through.
It's all over the place. One thing, maybe you'll agree with this, Joe. I did kind of find the scene scary where the lead blonde girl, I think it's her, she falls in between the walls, and you've got Agnes at the bottom of the stairs and Billy at the top of the stairs, and they're both like coming at her. I thought that
Hmm.
was kind of scary, and it
Yeah.
kind of reminded me of Wes Craven's The People Under the Stairs.
Oh, yes, because, between the walls, I could see that. Yeah.
Yeah, the whole movie.
Yeah. It's just another example of this movie just being, just professionally made, if I could say nothing else about it, you could tell people showed up and did their job.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. That's what it is. It's a movie. It's not a good movie, but at
Yeah.
least it's not like Thanks Killing or whatever. Like it's got production value.
Yeah.
So yeah, let's kind of we'll get to the ending, and then Eric, I want to bring you in because I feel bad. So the ending is crazy. Everybody gets killed. Some people by accident. The older lady who's in the original one, she gets an icicle through the head, and it's like not even from the killers. It's just an accident. You're like, that sucks. And then the whole house lights on fire, but we get this kind of final showdown where Agnes comes out, and they're like, your dad's not here, or your brother's not here. And it's like, no, my daddy is. And then like Billy comes out, and it's Billy, the lead blonde girl, the older sister lady, and Agnes, and they're all fighting, and they escape. They're able to get away, and then that's where the movie honestly probably should have ended. It just would have been
Mhm.
too short. But then, yeah, you're right. They tack on this whole hospital scene, which is crazy. So both Billy and Agnes, wait. I was freaking out actually. This is crazy. So they call the police because this is 2006. So they all have cell phones. They call the police and they're like, listen, there's a really bad storm. We aren't going to be able to get to you for probably 2 hours because the roads are fucked. The power lines are down. Like we know about you. It's like, there's a killer here. It's like, we know, we'll get there. So you're going to tell me that after the house burns down, they run outside, somehow get to the hospital, okay? Then the hospital and the fire trucks and all that stuff come to the house that was just burning or whatever, find these two bodies, take them back to the same hospital or whatever. Like, did the roads magically clear up in this amount of time? Like, why were they able to then do that? And why would they? You know? Right? Am I crazy? That was fucking nuts.
No, all fair points.
Oh my God, it pissed me off so much. I was just like, okay, now they can go to the house. Okay, got it. So then we get to the hospital, and it's just like Billy and Agnes are alive. They kill this guy that looks kind of like a scraggly Brad Pitt, kind of. I don't know, this
Mhm.
mortician. And this is where I was going crazy, Joe. I mean, with the crutch, and she's like fighting in the hospital with the crutch, and no one's there to see her. And then people do come out and they don't help her. Like when she's running from Billy and fighting with the crutch, like that scene was horrible, dude.
Yeah, and also though, I go ahead, finish your point.
And they dropped the ball so bad, dude, because there's blood filling up the light or whatever. Turn the
Mhm.
light on and let it flash red. That would have been so cool. They didn't do that.
Mhm.
And then yeah, it's just this bullshit like Merry Christmas, motherfucker, and like pushes him off a ledge, and then he lands on. You can't get impaled by a Christmas tree. Come on. So Eric, the way he dies is basically like how Kim Jong Il dies in Team America. He just like gets impaled by a Christmas tree.
My grandma has a sharp Christmas ornament, so I'll give him that.
There you
Okay.
go.
Okay. Whatever. All right. Sorry, Joe. So the ending was like unbelievably bullshit.
No, no. Speaking of the ending, when I was exploring my DVD special features, there are several alternate endings that I'm sure didn't play well with test screenings or the Weinsteins or whoever. But there's one that really tries to recreate that mystery of the original. It ends really with Katie Cassidy being in her hospital bed, and she gets a call, and the name on her cell phone is her boyfriend, and there's just a slow, reverse zoom out the window, and it's just very kind of subtle and just everything that this movie isn't.
That's so much better.
Yeah, but you know what? I would imagine that they played that for test screenings and they were just like, there is a version of this movie where, yeah, that works great, but this movie's so crazy and over the top. I feel like that isn't the ending of this movie, as ridiculous as the theatrical ending is. I almost feel like, yeah, I mean, that's just kind of what this movie is. Getting the killer gets impaled on a Christmas tree.
It looked like scary movie. Like when she's
Yeah,
running through the hallway with the crutch, it's like "Eesh," and like hits him, and then the cop's like, "What's going on?" But like
yeah,
doesn't do anything. It was like a joke.
yeah. I mean, I agree with you. And yeah, that ending, that alternate ending, that's kind of the movie I wish this was throughout.
Yeah, like god damn it. Especially considering the director is a fan of the original. It's like,
Yeah,
do we really need to hostile and saw it up? Like
right.
just
Yeah. And like again, everything I heard him say about the movie he was trying to make, oh, when I watched that ending, yeah, that makes sense. But, obviously they were trying to make the kind of movie that they thought audiences at the time wanted.
yeah.
So can I give you my 2 cents from after listening to you guys?
Yeah.
I think that it is Black Christmas using the name and then but also giving Billy a backstory, which we didn't have in the original. So I think that was the only difference between that one and the original, aside
Mhm.
from the original being way more inventive and way better.
Mhm.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
original is so much better than this, Eric.
No, I can already tell. I haven't seen this, but it sounds like the original was missing a Billy backstory. Is the only thing it was missing.
And some might argue that that mystery helps the movie.
It does because at the end of the movie, it's like she kills someone else to
Hmm.
survive Billy. It's part of the
Yeah.
movie, and that's what makes the movie so unique. And not everything needs a backstory. Not
Yeah.
everything
Right.
needs the explanation. And I
Hmm.
feel like this movie was trying to do the explanation from what I'm hearing from you guys.
Yeah.
It's also kind of nuts that this house had a murder in it, like three murders, like the father, the stepfather, and the mother, and then there was like the kids were taken to the mental asylum. And that house gets turned into a sorority house like within 20 years. No, that happened in 95 or whatever. It was like 10 years later. It's a sorority house. Like, I don't know. I think they would have knocked that down.
As long as they fixed the door, right? Wasn't the door the issue?
I don't think in this one.
No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
Yeah, I think maybe giving Billy a backstory wasn't a terrible way to go since it is such a mystery. You want to do something different in the remake, just in the direction that they went in is just so over the top.
Yeah, I mean, the Texas Chainsaw Massacre came out a couple years before this, the remake, and the original one. I think it came out the same year. That one's not as bad. I feel like because they don't give this like deep backstory to Leatherface and all that stuff. They kind of just ratcheted up the gore a little bit and put a
Mhm.
gloss on it. This one, I just felt like it just, I don't know, leaned too much into that backstory. I mean, the fact that
Yeah,
it's like 1970, 1975, 1985,
right.
1993, it's just like, all right, oh my God. I don't know. I don't love this one, especially considering the original's out there. Have you seen the latest remake, Joe?
I have not.
What that 2019? When did that come out?
Yeah, 2019.
We should all do that one.
How about Joe and I do that one, you do the 2006 one.
And
And
I join you and yeah, in that gap. Okay,
yeah.
we'll do it.
No, I've heard it's like unwatchable, but hey, we've done some bad movies on here before.
Also, today or tomorrow is the 50th anniversary of the original Black Christmas when we're recording this. I believe it's December 20th, 1984 is when the original came out. So
74.
74, sorry, 74. So that's crazy.
Mhm.
Yeah, damn.
But it is kind of wild we're doing this when that movie came out 50 years ago.
Yeah, I mean it's this is a good year, 74 with Texas Chainsaw Massacre, Chinatown, some
Wow.
good 74 movies.
Mhm.
But just we'll wrap up in here a second, but this didn't feel very much like a time capsule to me. I don't know. There's some 2000 movies that I'm like, it kind of feels like a 2000s movie. This is, but it didn't, I don't know, aside from like the lame dialogue and the really, really bad, intense gore,
Mhm.
it didn't have that same 2000s charm, I'll say.
Hmm. Okay. Interesting. Yeah, I think this movie's really terrible reputation has kind of helped me enjoy it the handful of times that I've revisited it over the years. And again, maybe this qualifies as guilty pleasure, but yeah, I don't know if it's quite as bad as its reputation. I just think, it does have some good horror production value and ambiance and atmosphere. So I think you could do worse, maybe not a whole lot worse, but I think you could do worse.
All right, gun to your head. You got to watch this or the Fog remake. Which one do you go for?
This one all day.
I already
Okay.
can tell you
Yeah.
this one. I haven't seen this one.
Absolutely. At least it's lively. I mean,
Guy from Smallville, the Fog remake is so bad.
yeah, I only saw the Fog remake once, not long after it came out, and I just remember it being incredibly dull.
Ugh, the 2000s, man. God damn. It was Saw or this kind of stuff. So
It was also the phrase straight to DVD was a
Mm-hmm.
thing. So just don't forget that was in the 2000s. That doesn't exist. Maybe straight to streaming is the new phrase, but I don't know.
Yeah, and I'll say this. I mean, I do think this movie looks pretty great at times, and back in the day, I would have given a movie a half a star extra for that. Today, because I think so many movies look like shit, I give this movie like 2 or 3 extra stars for that. So
Right.
that's another reason why I kind of root for this movie.
Okay, that's fair. Now you won me over a little bit, Joe, but
Well, that was my mission.
well, anybody got any last minute thoughts? I mean, Erik.
I mean, the original, I'm happy I watched it, honestly. So Mario Kid, yeah, dude, it was great.
Yeah, I'm jealous of you, Erik. I kind of
Me
wish
too.
I watched that one.
It's so funny. I mean, dude, literally 50 years ago to this day that movie came out. That's crazy.
Yeah, that was an accident. That was not planned.
It was an accident. We say we spin that wheel, Alec.
Yeah, let's do it. There's only one movie left.
I know. Spin it. It's not what it landed on, but what's the last movie, Alec?
New Year's Evil.
Let's go. I love how Joe is so quiet right now. He doesn't want anything to do with this movie.
I've seen New Year's Evil many years ago, and that was enough for me.
New Year's Evil. No, I'm excited. It's it's not great, but hey, whatever. It's New Year's. We got to do it.
We gotta do it. We gotta do it.
Yeah. Well, Joe, thank you for actually kind of putting some bright spots on what I thought was a very dark movie. So good, good for you. Thank you for joining us again.
Thank you guys, and Merry Christmas.
Yeah, Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas. Happy 2025. Let's go.
Yikes. But yeah, everybody, thank you very much for listening into our discussion on Black Christmas, and Erik for sidelining. And we will see you all next week with New Year's Evil. Merry Christmas.
Woo!